I'm really looking forward to this commencement ceremony this year because it's the first one after the COVID, and I'm really excited for my parents to see me graduate.
Being around my graduating friends too and with my parents.
Honestly, the pictures more than anything else, being able to capture the few moments that we have left with our friends.
I had a wonderful experience when it comes to the curriculum and learning, and also I had a very interesting experience when it comes to extracurriculars and meeting new people.
The number of opportunities that we get in terms of clubs, competitions, initiatives within and outside of our majors.
How inclusive the community is and how inclusive the people on the campus are.
Student life, the societies and the clubs I participated in.
Enjoying the campus with all its views, the trees, the canteen. My second song is Pride.
Discipline, respect, dedication,
Life changing.
Family.
Home.
memories, hope for the region.
Opportunity.
When I get into AUD, like it's so fresh. You can relax and have breathe in some fresh air because of the nature around campus, the cats, the plants, the flowers, and the people.
What? It's basically a second home, a place where we can study some days, have fun, make friends.
Opportunity for a better future and relationship. It connections the nature and plants.
life-changing.
Social life and opportunity, adventure, friends, home.
I'm really looking forward to this commencement ceremony this year because it's the first one after the COVID, and I'm really excited for my parents to see me graduate.
Being around my graduating friends too and with my parents.
Honestly, the pictures, more than anything else, being able to capture the few moments that we have left with our friends.
I had a wonderful experience when it comes to the curriculum and learning, and also I had a very, very interesting experience when it comes to extracurriculars and meeting new people.
The number of opportunities that we get in terms of clubs, competitions, initiatives within and outside of our majors.
How inclusive the community is and how inclusive the people on the campus are.
Student life, the societies and the clubs I participated in.
Enjoying the campus with all its views, the trees, the cats and everything.
I really enjoyed building connections and meeting influential people.
The AUB campus has been like a second home to me, so I'm definitely going to miss that sense of belonging.
I think I'm going to miss everything, but especially the people.
It's a bubble that separates you from all the obstacles around the world. It's just special the way it is.
Okay, I'll miss my friends and the cats, especially Mango, the famous cat of ETS.
I would miss the Faculty of Health and Sciences, and specifically I'm going to miss the courtyard.
I will miss the graduate lounge where I used to study and hang out with my colleagues. I even used to spend more time there than at home.
I think I will miss the most leading the Medical Humanism Fund, which is a fund that was created to help patients at AUB.
I will miss every single building in this wonderful campus.
At the heart of Beirut lies an athlete's paradise. Interested in a stadium tour? Join us at the Greenfield and Hustler Center, a haven where even sunbathing can be a sport. People come from far and wide to compete and support their favorite colors, whatever those colors may be. Running around in circles, playing to win, or for the sheer pleasure of exercise. A simple recipe. Just add water. Yes, AUB sport is an integral part of this academic lifestyle. Students and faculty train much more than just their brains. And there's even a diet center to keep you fit inside and out. Now, are you really that surprised?
I'm Christopher Jones. I'm from Westchester, New York, suburbs of New York City.
My name is Yuanyi Liu and I'm from Guangzhou, China. I'm a first-year master's student here at AUB, majoring in Middle Eastern Studies.
Hello, my name is Hugo. I'm from France and I'm majoring in industrial engineering.
The history and the contradictions of Lebanon and Beirut specifically are carried into pretty much every facet of life, whether that's at the university, that's on the streets of Hamra and Bliss, or anywhere you go. So the whole endeavor of getting a master's degree here was about the continuation of the learning, where I don't leave the university and learning all of a sudden stops, where I can continue to have these same conversations with my friends throughout the city and learn new perspectives every day.
So I would like to come to this region to study, to get some more local narratives, to balance my views, balance all the perspectives, and to get a more comprehensive, probably understanding of the region. And I think compared with other universities in the region, AUB, firstly, it's really good, and secondly, it offers academic freedom, which is different from studying in any other universities in the MENA region.
The idea was to come here and to volunteer in the country after the blast, and I've worked in many NGOs around the country, such as Of Beitna Beitak, or many other ones, and I really liked it. Actually, I think it changed my life. At the very end, I needed to do a choice. I wanted to stay there. I didn't want to get back to France, so I applied to AUB, and I got accepted, so I stayed a bit longer, yes.
Lebanon, with all its faults, is a beautiful country.
I love the people here. They are super friendly, that they would like to know more about me and to know about my background and my culture.
I've always felt very welcomed here. The weather also is great, as is the positioning on the gradient.
honored trustees, members of the faculty and staff, candidates for degrees, parents, alumni, and friends joining virtually. President Fadlo Khuri, I declare that this 153rd commencement for the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, the Hariri School of Nursing, the Faculty of Agricultural and Food Sciences, and the Faculty of Health Sciences of the American University of Beirut to be now assembled and in session for the purpose of the day.
Trustees, faculty and staff, you can be seated. I'm not that quick. Trustees, faculty, staff, families, and especially students of the American University of Beirut's class of 2022, welcome to your graduation. For several years, you've embraced the shining landmarks and walked the shaded paths of this iconic institution. You graduate today with your parents seated behind you on this magnificent green field. The first class since the summer of 2019 to have that privilege. You receive your degrees alongside the graduating classes from yesterday and tomorrow and 5 magnificent women and men who've helped make the world better. The first honorary doctorates that AUB has awarded since that haunting day 3 years ago, when all things seemed possible before Lebanon descended into chaos and the world sank into an unforgiving pandemic that has cost us upwards of 15 million lives. You will hear from one of those 5 honorands, Daniel Dennet, one of the most influential, thoughtful, courageous, and enlightened philosophers of our era. Most of you will now leave AUB, but as I will point out this evening, AUB will never truly leave you. To complete your studies, most of you have drunk many a cup of coffee. It is the way of generations before and hence. One last cup of coffee before you go, as Bob Dylan so memorably sang. Your breath is sweet, your eyes are like 2 jewels in the sky. Your back is straight, your hair is smooth on the pillow where you lie. I don't sense affection, nor know gratitude or love. Your loyalty is not to me, but to the stars above. Many of you, our students, will leave Lebanon and AUB within the next few months in pursuit of your academic or professional ambitions, building on the strong foundations that you formed here at this campus and in this country. Some of you will look back on these years with a sense of weariness, perhaps even bitterness for this country or the countries in this region, your recent experience echoing that view Dylan had of his mysterious lover. I don't sense affection, nor know gratitude or love. Your loyalty is not to me, but to the stars above. Others will feel an even more profound sense of loss, a lament or rethat. I know of no greater lament than Al-Rindi's bittersweet cry for the loss of many of Andalusia's greatest cities to the Spanish Reconquista. And this particular poem, written expressly for the 13th century fall of Seville, is his epic lament. لكل شيء إذا ما تم نقصانه فلا يغر بطيب العيش إنسان. هي الأمور كما شاهدتها دول من سره زمن ساءته أزمان. The cry of a man who feels immense loss of identity, loss of purpose, loss of country. Just this last month, we witnessed yet another tragic moment of cruelty, the murder of the iconic Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. An attempt to further embitter and alienate a people already under siege. This is one of the latest, and unfortunately not the last, of many brutal attacks on journalists and activists. including in Ukraine, Lebanon, Syria, many other countries. As lines from the Game of Thrones memorably state, the night is dark and full of terror. Art imitates life, even in its grimmest, cruelest, most alienating moments. You guys in the MasterCard kits always provoke me to and challenge me not to just quote old dead white men. So I quoted an old, very dead Arab man in a recent show. Let us pause for a moment to consider that there are more to your ties to AUB, indeed to your home countries, Lebanon among them, than that expressed through two bittersweet poetic symphonies written some 700 years apart. In doing so, let's pass briefly over some of the many things that you've had the opportunity and the privilege to witness and to actually accomplish during your time here at AUB. Prior to the summer of 2019, almost all students graduating from the American University of Beirut had an opportunity to spend at least 2 or 3 years on this magnificent campus, in many cases more. While this was denied to many of you for almost 2 years, the collective efforts of physicians, public health specialists, nurses, faculty, staff, trustees, administration, and yes, you students, led to the vaccination of 99.7% of our AUB community and also of your families, alumni, underprivileged individuals, even prisoners across this country. The American University of Beirut Medical Center rallied to treat the highest number of critically ill patients with COVID-19 in Lebanon and to heal and treat over 1,000 victims of the August 4, 2020 Beirut blast. You volunteered for that. You helped get that done. Students, faculty, staff, and alumni have excelled, winning numerous awards and accolades, including just this academic year, 3 of the most prestigious prizes: the Nobel Prize in Medicine to Ardem Patapoutian, the Kavli Prize in Neuroscience to Huda Zughbi, and the Silver Lion at the Venice Biennale to Ali Shirri. In the 6.5 years since I challenged all of us, not just you, all of us, including the trustees and the faculty, to become more intellectually accomplished than we are economically elite, we've almost tripled the number of students obtaining an AUB education on full scholarships, with almost a quarter of our community this year enjoying that privilege over this last academic year. So you're part of the class that received the highest percentage of financial support, and what you did with it is you excelled. You made a difference. This is the highest number on record for 50 years at AUB. In Lebanese parliamentary elections of May 15, 2022, 7 AUB faculty members with diverse backgrounds from 4 different faculties stood as candidates, all 7 conducting themselves with courage, integrity, and equipoise, talking about what they were for, not what they were against. And in the 5 years since restoring tenure to AUB for the first time in 33 years, 200 faculty members have earned this vital protection of academic excellence and freedom. Most importantly, you, our students, you continue to excel academically, professionally, personally. You have revived student life on campus since your return on October 1st, when more than 7,300 different entries to campus were recorded. I'm pretty sure that's close to a single-day record that we're not holding at graduation. You receive and grasp opportunities for a better tomorrow. You contest student elections, you hold music concerts, you win the most competitive prizes in international sports competitions and global Model United Nation contests. You stand by one another, you make one another, and you make us better. A stunning percentage of our medical graduates, 85%, will match in the US on their first 2 times of trying. All of you will have the best opportunity to get into the top graduate schools and firms abroad at the first time of asking. You will win prizes for innovations, for courage, for resilience, for persistence. That's you. As I told last year's class, and I'm repeating to you, you, class of 2022, you are our good news for the world, our hope for the better days to come. So congratulations to you. The ties that bind you to AUB and to your home countries turn out to be far more tensile, far more firm than you might imagine. I'm confident you will remain attached to this, your campus, and you will return with an enhanced ability to transform lives. I know this from personal experience, as many years ago, I also dreamed of a return to AUB and to Lebanon, but I was determined to return only when I could make a difference. 41 years ago, I left the American University of Beirut under the din of unrelenting bombing that marked the 1982 Israeli invasion of Lebanon. 9 years later, I took my new bride, Lamia Talnous, for our honeymoon to Andalusia. It was in Andalusia that I had discovered a couple of years earlier that the Arabic culture, whose loss El-Rindi had lamented more than 700 years prior, had long taken root and was enormously valued. That culture was and remains indisputably and proudly present, not only when we visited Spain 31 years ago, but when you visit Spain and you visit the rest of the world, you will see that your culture is preserved and proudly celebrated. So El-Rindi's words offer more than a lament. They're also a reminder to the masters of the moment that time is ephemeral, that as the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. stated in 1968 at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., just a few weeks before he was assessed, the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. The arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. For many of you, that curve may be imperceptible, but I'm confident that you will learn over time that this arc indeed bends inexorably towards justice. Now, King's statement, often misquoted, including by American presidents, was an expression of the Christian faith. And it is vital to acknowledge that justice on earth does not occur absent effort. We must all contribute meaningfully and constantly to bending the arc of the moral universe in the direction of social and environmental justice. You, our students, have been empowered to do great things during your voyage through this most impactful and unique university. You've been taught well, you've been counseled wisely, but you've also formed your own identities, scaled your own peaks, and climbed out of your own valleys. Those experiences, including the experiences of failing here on campus, failing and learning from your failures, of succeeding and making friends and then being bold enough to fail again, those will embolden you and serve you well in the challenging times to come. And the challenges, as we have seen over the last several years, will most definitely come. The author Anne Bronte, although lesser known than her sisters Charlotte and Emily, published 2 novels in her short life. In Agnes Grey, she speaks to the oppression and isolation many young women faced in the 19th century, and I would argue still face in the 21st century, but she also speaks about human resilience. She writes, "The ties that bind us to life are tougher than you imagine, or than anyone can who has not felt how roughly they may be pulled without breaking." You and your families, indeed all of us living in Lebanon, in this region, in these times, these past few years, have often felt near the breaking point. It is okay to admit that. But by sticking together and sticking up for one another, by holding fast to the ties that bind, we can and we will weather any storm. Undoubtedly, you will face further challenges in your life, but do not think for a moment that you will ever face them alone. Along with your families, your loved ones, your friends, with whom you've embraced this voyage, you build deep and binding ties to the American University of Beirut and its community, both here and abroad. Some 75,000 alumni and legions of friends and allies of this university await you. They are ready to help you forge your own personal paths. They too savor the ties that bind. So as you leave this place where you have struggled, fought, loved, lost, and won, know that you are part of something greater than yourselves, something vital that you can help make even greater. Know that being an alumnus of the American University of Beirut, which you will be in less than a couple of hours, binds you permanently to an institution that stretches from its eternal home in Beirut to its new campus in Paphos, Cyprus, to all the countries and regions we serve and impact in the Levant, Arabia, Asia, Africa, Australia, Europe, the Americas, and beyond. Those ties bind you to a band of like-minded, determined sisters and brothers determined to work and sacrifice in the name of excellence, both for its sake, its own sake, and for the greater good. So congratulations to you all, AUB class of 2022. We could not be prouder of you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the student speaker for the day, Ms. Julia Zaydan. Can Julia step forward? Julia Zaydan is a candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the first graduating class of Health Communication program at the Faculty of Health Sciences. Julia is currently working at the Center for Public Health Practice at the Faculty of Health Sciences, where she completed her Bachelor of Arts in Health Communication and a minor in Media and Communications. At AUB, she has been a representative in the University Student Faculty Committee, USFC, an active member of the women's rugby team, the vice president of political identity of the Change Starts Here Club, a data collector for the Amina project on educating Syrian refugee girls, and a volunteer for the said NGO and the Ministry of Public Health. She has lived a full AUB life. She has been commended for her volunteer work throughout the pandemic and is described by her colleagues and her teachers as mature, dependable, motivated, kind, and always willing to assist. On the honors list for all of her semesters here, Julia received the Penrose Award and the Kiram Senuri Memorial Prize in the spring of this year for her scholarship, leadership, and contribution to university life. I can assure you she is not afraid to speak her mind from my time with her on the USFC. So it is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Julia Zaydan, your Class Day speaker.
Dear faculty, students, parents, and friends, I want to begin by thanking you all for being here and making this place one we can call home. Thank you, esteemed faculty, for continuing to provide us with high-quality education, and AUB for making these last 3 years truly an incredible, unforgettable experience. Most importantly, Mom, Dad, wherever you are in the crowd, thank you for making me the woman I am today and for giving me the opportunity to grow every day. I hope I made you proud. Class of 2022, your time has come. You are here today sitting in your caps and gowns, and I want you to look around you. Look at the people who have reached this milestone with you. In this chapter of your life, you are about to close. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were studying in Jafet at 3 a.m., gathering our friends for a coffee break at Abu Naji's, who was the only one open till late that night. We were reminiscing all what we've been through, all the good times and the bad. Sunbathing in the green oval, fighting off the cats who were trying to eat our food, rushing to the big games on this very field to support our friends, meeting people through the different clubs and societies we were members of. These are all things we will surely miss. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like it's been a long, tough road to get here today. I'm sure every one of you struggled one way or another. But I believe we shared some struggles together, from the sleepless nights during student council election season, to midterms and finals spent in Jafet, to losing our breath on the chemistry stairs running from lower to upper campus. These struggles have turned into beautiful, bittersweet memories. Memories which we will cherish forever. Sitting in your caps and gowns, I want you to think about all you have been through. Think about the October 17 protests and what it has become, or not become, the pandemic that has taken up to 15 million lives, the crippling economic crisis that threatens our livelihood and education, the August 4th blast that has made us go down in history for all the wrong reasons, the queues at the gas stations, bakeries, supermarkets, hospitals, and pharmacies. Think about all of these and then take a deep breath for a moment. Now reframe that narrative. Think about October 17, a time that woke up a country and the role we had in that awakening. Think about the pandemic that has knocked us into a new life, and the role we had in regaining some of our old life, like our presence on campus today. Think about the current economic crisis that has thrown our world into a tailspin and the way we have persevered despite it all. Think about the different initiatives we took when we cleaned our streets and helped out strangers who had their lives turned upside down in the blink of an eye. When I look back on all of this, I feel powerful. We tend to think that what we do as individuals does not matter, and there is yet a verdict to come out on whether or not that is true. Yet, both AUB and my program have taught me that we lead by example. So, each time I picked up a shovel, someone else followed. Each time I demanded my rights in the street, someone else did the same. And each time I put on a mask, someone else followed suit. The same way I influenced a sort of change in someone's behavior, someone influenced a change in mine. Contrary to today's popular opinion, there is always room for change. Ever since I was a little girl, my parents have told me stories about their university years and how, in the midst of the civil war in Lebanon and the occupations that haunt us to this day, they found the confidence to do something, to change something. Whether it was someone's opinion or a university policy, there was always room for lighting a fire in the darkness as long as you had the confidence to do so. I want you to do one more thing so that we can feel confident in our power to be change makers. Think back to the times you joined the protests, or when you volunteered with AUB's vaccination campaign, or ran for university elections, or even voted on the 15th of May in the parliamentary elections, or any other part you took in something bigger than yourselves. In every instance, you helped make an impact. You helped instigate change. So, as you leave this beautiful place, remember that you, my friends, have the power to transform the world, and I look forward to transforming it with you. Class of 2022, congratulations.
Come on, you can be more generous than that. Bravo, Julia. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce this evening's keynote speaker and one of the recipients of this year's honorary doctorate degrees, the world-renowned philosopher, author, and scholar, Dr. Daniel Dennet. Dr. Dennet is actually a son of AUB and ACS, grew up, as he told us yesterday, wanting to come to AUB. And today, well actually yesterday, he became an AUB graduate. Daniel Dennet has made groundbreaking contributions to fields ranging from philosophy to neuroscience, cognitive psychology, artificial intelligence. He is the author of numerous foundational books and has contemplated and pursued some of the most complex and perplexing issues of our time, tackling consciousness, evolution, faith, and free will, and questioned assumptions through a relentless pursuit of fundamental truths and a deeper comprehension of human existence. He is at the core of what academia needs to be, brave in asking the most difficult questions. It is our honor today to welcome AUB graduate Daniel Dennet to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, President Khuri, and thank you all for this great honor that I have to now be one of you, an alumnus of this great university. I expect that all of you know how to play rock, paper, scissors, right? Tell you what, let's just make sure. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, shoot. Paper covers rock, rock breaks scissors, scissors cuts paper. Ready? 1, 2, 3, shoot. All right, how many people beat me? How many people lost to me? And how many people tied? Okay, you know the game, that's good. Now, have you ever played rock, paper, scissors with somebody and found that they just had your number, they were just beating you all the time? Well, imagine that somebody beats you every time. Every time you went to play, they'd win. This would be alarming. And really, it would be alarming. If someone could read your mind like that, they could control you. They could usurp your autonomy. Could somebody actually have that power? How could they do it? Well, if the Newtonian laws of physics were true, and if they determined the results of all physical processes, all the collisions of atoms and gravitational forces and all the rest, then a future is already fixed by the past. And anyone who knows the laws and the physical state of the universe at one instant will be able to, in principle, to predict every future instant from then until eternity. This is the idea of determinism. And it was vividly captured in the 19th century by Pierre-Simon Laplace, who imagined a being, we now call this being Laplace's demon, who could do just that, who knew the location of every particle in the universe and the laws of nature and could just turn the crank and predict the future ad infinitum. The thing about Laplace's demon, however, is that although the Laplace's demon, we can imagine, could do this, couldn't do this if Laplace's demon were to interact with you. Because he would, in order to interact with you and use his knowledge, he'd have to have a complete model of himself. And Alan Turing, had shown that that's impossible. So, we don't have to worry about Laplace's demon manipulating us, because Laplace's demon is, strictly speaking, impossible as a manipulator. A less omniscient being who only knew the exact state of your brain at a time before you made your move in rock, paper, scissors might well be able to predict your move in time to make the winning counter move. So here's a bit of practical wisdom. Don't play rock, paper, scissors for high stakes if your head is inside a brain scanner. Because it's possible in principle, not yet possible in fact, for the neuroscientists to predict which move you're going to make, and then they could beat you every time. Your brain is a control center of your body, and it is almost unimaginably complex. At any moment, you have a vast number of things that you could do or think or decide, and each of these is what we call a degree of freedom. It's something that's variable in you that you can control. A degree of freedom is both an opportunity for control and a need for control. If you don't control a degree of freedom, you're running out of control. These are the degrees of freedom that you were blessed with when you were born, and you've been learning how to control them since you were an infant. For several years, you crawled and bumbled about under the watchful eyes of your caretakers, learning how to walk, how to talk, to make your desires known, and particularly to respond appropriately to advice and warnings and offers from those around you. Your parents and your peers have shaped you through years of interaction to avoid dangerous options, foolish actions, not to divulge personal information to strangers, to obey the laws and customs of your society. Over the early years of your life, you gradually achieved a level of self-control that convinced society to grant you full adulthood. You are, in short, a responsible citizen, well-informed, and this confers on you a special status. You are free to choose your friends, to sign contracts, make promises, travel where you want, decide who you are going to spend your life with, and all the rest. Now that's one kind of free will. And in fact, it's the most important kind. Not everybody has it. Some of you may know a family member, a grandfather or cousin or somebody, a friend of yours, who for one reason or another has lost that freedom, who's got brain damage or is psychotic or is just getting senile. One of the saddest moments in modern society is when we have to decide to take away the free will of some agent because they're no longer able, no longer capable to respond to reason the way you are. They no longer have the free will necessary to be given the freedom of a citizen. That's the free will that's really worth wanting, and it's not a metaphysical property that depends on some magic exemption from causation or the laws of physics. It's an achievement. For several thousand years, philosophers and scientists have debated free will, but under the confused assumption that free will isn't really free unless it is somehow exempt from the laws of physics. In my opinion, this is one of the most unfortunate misdirections in the history of thought, since it has encouraged folks to ignore a genuine and pressing threat to their cherished free will while speculating about physics and quantum mechanics, which are fascinating topics but have nothing to do with free will. Now, I've been writing about free will for over half a century, the varieties of free will worth wanting. And I still run into highly resistant pockets of resistance to my main point. But sometimes these can be put to good use. A few years ago, my good friend Sam Harris wrote a little book called Free Will, and on the cover, he had the letters F-R-E-E-W-I-L-L hanging from puppet strings. And I said, Sam, I wish you hadn't done that. And by the way, he was very critical of my view in his book. I said, you should have given me a chance to correct the errors. He said, well, I asked you if you'd read the draft and you said you were too busy. So it's my fault. And I got what I deserved, I suppose. Sam was not just critical, he was sarcastic. And one of the things he said about my view is this. He said, according to Dennet, a puppet is free as long as it loves its strings. I think he saw this as a refutation. But I saw it as a fine expression of my view, and I'm going to explain why. Do you want to be a puppet? I don't. It would be terrible to be some puppeteer's puppet. I think we can now see who was the puppet when Hillary Clinton, in her third debate, said that Donald Trump was Putin's puppet. And he replied, not a puppet, not a puppet, you're the puppet. Not very effective. Puppeteers know that controlling a puppet requires great dexterity and feedback and depends on limiting the degrees of freedom you have to control. Here's something that maybe your your grandmother would have taught you. Well, no, I'm sorry, I jumped over a passage here. We have lots of puppets today. They're called drones. They're under the control of human beings. And they're only possible because many of the degrees of freedom are taken over and handled on board, so that the drone puppeteer only has to control half a dozen degrees of freedom, or maybe 10 degrees of freedom, not the thousands of degrees of freedom that the drone actually has. You have many more degrees of freedom than any drone. So remote control of you is a much more demanding task, thank goodness. Still, there are would-be puppeteers out there who would like to give a try at controlling you. And they are discovering more and more ways to simplify their task. Here's something you may have learned from your mother or your grandmother. How many of you have ever threaded a needle? And did you learn that the way to thread a needle is to brace your hand on a desk or something, and hold the needle, and then push the thread through it, rather than do this, where you've got to control both hands at once. You clamp some of the degrees of freedom, and that makes your task much easier. There are people out there that want to clamp your degrees of freedom so they can control you. And the way they do it is by controlling your attention. Now, you've encountered this fact since you were a baby. Infants often get stuck with their attention captured by something in their immediate vicinity, and then they can't stop looking at it and reaching for it. They're locked in until mother or father finds a substitute to distract them. So control of attention is a learned skill, and it takes some practice to get good at it. Today, the most effective puppet strings ever invented are right in front of you. In fact, I've got one in my pocket, and you probably do too. These are the most effective puppet strings that have yet been invented, and there are thousands of highly intelligent, well-paid people figuring out how to use these to clamp your degrees of freedom and control the train of your thoughts. Do you know what an anglerfish is? It's one of those bottom-dwelling fish that have a little stalk, like a fishing rod, with a little wiggly worm thing on the end of it. It's just part of their body, it's not a worm. And they just lie there and they wiggle their little wiggle. And this attracts a lot of attention from other fish that come closer and closer and closer, until finally the anglerfish just goes snap and gets its breakfast. I've shown videotapes of anglerfish to my grandchildren, and I say, there's a lot of anglerfish out there in the world right now, and there's more and more every day, and you want to be really careful about letting your attention be attracted by one of their cleverly designed wiggly worms, because they don't have your interests at heart. My message for all of you then is just what Sam Harris said. Love your strings. Protect them. Protect them from the would-be puppeteers who would pull them and you in directions that you really don't want to go. If you protect them from would-be puppeteers, you can preserve your autonomy, your free will, instead of becoming the unwitting tool of some other agent. That's the only free will you need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dennet. We're going to have a musical interlude performed by the AUB Classical Music Club. Ombra Maifu, it's an aria from Xerxes by Georg Friedrich Handel. Jawad Haddad will play the trumpet, and Wiam Haddad will play the organ. Please, gentlemen.
Mr. President, recommendations for degrees to be conferred today have already been made by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, the Hariri School of Nursing, the Faculty of Agricultural and Food Sciences, and the Faculty of Health Sciences. In accordance with established procedures, the candidates who have satisfactorily completed all the requirements and are deemed worthy by the University Senate to be awarded degrees will now be presented to you by their respective deans. President Khuri, I call upon you to confer the degrees.
Mr. President, as the interim Mamdouha Sayyid, Pope's Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, and on behalf of my colleagues of the faculty, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. Will all the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degrees for which you have completed all the requirements and welcome you to the Fellowship of Educated Men and Women. Congratulations.
I now call upon the graduates from the Faculty of Arts and Sciences to come to the stage. The first graduate will be the recipient of the Penrose Award from the Faculty of Arts and Sciences for 2022. Will Amal Ahmad Al-Masri please come to the stage?
Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts: Lien Bassam Awar with high distinction. Kamal Suhail Abdel Khaliq. Muhammad Omar Abdouni. Abdel Aziz Muhammad Abdel Fattah. Cristal Elias Abi Samra. Yasmin Hani Abu Alfa. Aline Marwan Abu Sha'ar. Nadine Maher Abu Al-Khudud. Alina Wasim Abu Dawood. Joud Abdullah Khalil Abu Haidar. Jessica Amin Al-Ash'ar with distinction. Muhammad Hassan Al-Adlani. Dana Ahmed Afif Adra. Luna Kamal Agustin. Jana George Ain Al-Shaybi. Hussein Ali Ajami. Raisa Maria George Akar. Samir Ahmed Akar. Hala Tariq Akawi with distinction. Sarah Ahmed Akoush. Abdullah Riyad Alamuddin. Asil Saeed Aleme with distinction. Rama Ma'an Al-Hariri. Yara Mazen Al-Amin. Aya Haytham Ammar. Joud Muhammad Amous Al-Qal'awi. Yasmina Rami Andari with distinction. Aurore Emilio Nakhli Antoun. Zoya Maria Roni Aoun. Nathalie Muhammad Assaf with distinction. Nicolas Elias Assaf. Jad Hazem Asi with distinction. Reem Jamil Al-Asi with distinction. Noor Al-Huda Jafar Atiye with distinction. Lara Fadi Awada. Aya Munzir Badr with distinction. Muhammad Kamal Al-Din Bahr Al-Ulum. Karen Joseph Bakhos with high distinction. Layla Walid Bal'a. May Nadim Al-Bal'a. Muhammad Khalid Muhammad Burhan Al-Bardan. Mona Youssef Jo Basila. Alexandre Elie Bastoli. Jessica Pierre Bijani. جوي بيير البجاني، كارينا أندري البتي دي أنيتش، أيمن أحمد بيدون with high distinction، محمد لؤي بيسار، أماندا فوزي البيطار with distinction، سامية سامي بليق، خالد ساسين بوشبل، لين وفيق بوغانم، رنا بسام بوصالح with distinction، نور مجد البساط with high distinction، آدم وليد شعر، نديم باسم شعراني، منذر هنات شبيطة، آية حسن شاهين with high distinction، ضياء توفيق شاهين with distinction، محمد إبراهيم شحوري، جنى محمد دندشلي، إلياس نيكولا ضناوي، جين جورج دايوب with high distinction، سينتيا ميشيل دياب with distinction، ريتا شربل دياب، محمد هاني دياب العرب، جهد أحمد الديلاتي with distinction، نغم وليد الدويري، تريسي مروان إيجو with distinction، أنا رياض عيد، رؤى بسام عيد، عبير نسيم عز الدين، بشرى أحمد فضل الله، ياسمينة شوقي فخوري with distinction، ياسمينة لين عصمت فخر الدين، زينون مايك فلاحة، سنة نديم فرج الله with high distinction، جاد أنطوان فرهود with distinction، مايا طلال فران with distinction، ياسمينة فواز، رشا مصطفى الفناء، رهف محمد فعاني with distinction، ماريا بطرس جرمانوس with distinction، سارة رضوان غانم with distinction، كارين دونا غندور الغاوي، تاشا روجيه غريب، هلا شوقي الهبوب with distinction، جنى فادي الحشاش، باسم زين هاشم، جوان ريتا رودولف الحداد with distinction، إيمانويل جورج الهادي، عدنان منير الحافي، إلسا جوزيف هيدموس، سارة رياض حيدر، أندرو عبد الحج with distinction، إلي الحج، نور شوقي الحلبي، نور مطانيوس الحلبي، راني صبحي الحلبي، ريتا رباح الحلواني، بهاء عبد الرحيم حسن حمادة، مهدي حسن حمية، ريبال منير حمزة، رفيق حناشي، كريم رامي حركة، سارة خضر حرب. باسل سماح حسن. Elisa Nazih Hassan with distinction. Elisa Hani Hassan. Sarah Muhammad Hassoun. Sarah Wadia Al-Hishi. Ulfa Mohsen Hashiri. Karim Hisham Hijazi. Khadija Muhammad Hajej. رضا محمد حجاج. يارا جلبال حنين. يارا علي حديت. علي توفيق حماني with distinction. ليان غسان الحوت with high distinction. جو فيليب عيسى الخوري. آية محمود عيتاني. فرح فداء عيتاني. اليسار نبيل إزرافيل. كريستال ميشيل جبور with distinction. ريان نزار جبر. جانكوم جورج جمهوري. سيلين حماد الجميل. ديما حسن الحكيم with distinction. جيسيل حنا جتي with distinction. منى حسن جمعة with distinction. لين بسام جرادي with high distinction. تيا ياسر جرادي. نور اليقين محمد كديشي with high distinction. سيلين فرج كانسو. ديفيد بيير كرم with distinction. تيمة أحمد أنس كيلاني. نادين فاطمة خشاب. زينة عدنان خير. ليتيسيا سليمان خالد فغالي. نور نبيل خليل. أمية عماد خربطلي with distinction. نجيب مروان خاطر with distinction. دانا بشار الخطيب. لين رامي خطار with distinction. تمارا وسام الخوري. هادي فيكتور الخوري. لين أنطوان الخوري. ستيفاني أنطوان إيامي with distinction. لوما حسن كميحة with high distinction. زينة محمد عبد اللطيف لبان. لوتشيانا جوني لمع with distinction. مايا علي لطفي. بيرلا كنج مداح with distinction. أحمد علي أحمد المدواهي with distinction. سيلي ريشار مقدسي. زينة لؤي ملاس. نداء صلاح مناع. أليك هريتش مانجيكيان. سنة جهاد منصور. محمود سعد الدين مرديني. لين أيمن مصري. ركان عبد الناصر مظلوم. كيانا فادي مدلج. كريستين مخايل ملحم with distinction. سارة ماريا وليد منصة خاطر. عبد الله أنطوان مكري. كريم رجل مقدم with distinction. عبد الرحمن كميل مراد. زينة هاني مراد. سارة خالد موسى. كنز علي مروي. صبا محمود مروي. مروة خالد الملا with distinction. لما نسير نعامي. هلا فواز نابلسي with distinction. محمد وجيه نهلي. غادي حسن نخلي. صباح مصطفى النقوزي with distinction. كلوي رامي نصر with high distinction. نيكولا إلياس نصار. أنتوني سيمون نعمة. ماهر ميزر نظام الدين. منتهى محمد نطة with distinction. ماريريا ريتا ميشيل نجيم with distinction. نور زكريا عبيد with distinction. ويليام مازن عقيلي with the high distinction. يارا رمزي عقيس with distinction. دانا محمد سعيد أرفلي with distinction. جويس كلوي أنطون أوريان. بيليندا رزميك أوسكرجيان. خديجة عبد الفتاح والناس with distinction. سيليا بريسكوت ديسي with high distinction. نازلي علي ردبوي. ديما قاسم رحال. رنا جميل روكوس with distinction. مجد عوض الرومي برادي. جورج يوسف سعد with distinction. باتريك هنري سعد. رامي جمال سعد. نديم فادي سعادة with distinction. فرح نبيل سعادي with high distinction. ليا رمزي صبرا with distinction. غيا فؤاد سعيد. ماريا فيليب سعيد. طارق محمد صالح. أبرار عمر سلهبة with distinction. مجالي غسان صليبة. إليو نيكولا صليبي. جود أرفان سلمان. ناتالي إلياس سمعان with distinction. فاتو كين سامبي. جوانا محمد سعيد سمهوري. كريم فادي سماك. ريم معتز السمان with high distinction. سارة أكرم صندقلي with distinction. ليان نديم سنجر. باولا أنطوان سوايا with distinction. جنى علي سيد. سيرين ناصر سبايتي with distinction. فانا سابو سكيان. جويل فادي سلوان. نور بيتر سمعاني. جنى عدنان شاهين. بكر سامي أحسان شخشير with distinction. فاطمة محي الدين شبارو. شادي علي سنان. آية محمد أمين سليمان. إدوار كمال سليمان. رينا علي سويدان. ساشا جيمي تيدروس. براء محمد طافش with distinction. نهلة محمد طه. تالا خالد تقي. جنى أحمد بشار طالب. ليلى سامر الطرابيشي with distinction. لما ميلاد طوق. رالف سيمون طويل with distinction. شيرين عادل ثمين. كيان ميشيل توتونجي with high distinction. ليان نبيل وحيدي with distinction. سهى سهيل وزني with high distinction. ماريا راني وهبة with distinction. دانا سعد يمن with distinction. ملاك عبد الرحمن ياسين with distinction. منى وليد ياسين. بسمة مروان يزبك الرمادي with distinction. ماري جورج زخريا. أنجيل زكي زعيتر. لينا جبران زيدان with distinction. لارا زياد زعني with distinction.
Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science: Nadine Yusuf Ahmed Abbas. Mia Khalil Aboud with distinction. Rami Ali Abdelbaqi with distinction. Uthman Rhayyim Abdelrahman. Noor Naamtallah Abiad. Perla Joseph Abi Khirs. Antonio Rashid Abi Nadir. Patrick Richard Abi Rashid. Haneen Rashid Abu Dahir. Kareen Ghassan Abu al-Husn. Karam Azmi Bahauddin Abu Saud. Talal Mundir Al-Abwi with distinction. Ghazi Fawzi Al-Ash'ar. Yasir Hussain Ahmed with distinction. Zahra Muhammad Al-Ajami. Hussain Muhammad Aqil with distinction. Asil Saeed Alami with distinction. Muhammad Faris Muhammad Khalid Al-Idilbi. Ahmad Hani Firas Al-Halabi. Muhammad Ali Ahmed. Roni Ghassan Allaw with distinction. George Ghassan Sahili with high distinction. Reem Jihad Al-Anan with distinction. Jean-Marc Tony Aoun. Karim Mustafa Araqji. Roy Joseph Araman. Ula Saadi Ardati. Leia Fadi Assaf with distinction. Hiyam Khalil Al-Asi. Omar Imad Al-Asidi with distinction. Jad Shhadi Auki. Jana Ghalib Ayas with high distinction. Jason Kabil Azzi with distinction. Marwan Ahmed Baalbaki with distinction. Ghina Muhammad Baasiri. Anna Karim Badaru with distinction. Basim Abdel Karim Bahsoun. Ghada Muhammad Shafiq Bakri with high distinction. Marwan Isam Bassam. Suad Mahmoud Bdair with distinction. Joe George Badran with distinction. Osmat Maher Bakdash. Bara Ziad Bilal. Farah Abdullah bin Daqji with distinction. Abdullah Hassan Bou'urm with high distinction. Nader Jihad al-Bustani. Lara Jamal Shahrour with distinction. Nuhra Jean Shalouhi with distinction. Yara Fadi Sham'a with distinction. Leah Zuhair Shami. Hadi Hussam Shbaru with high distinction. Ali Muhammad Shhab. Karim Ghassan Shhab. May Ahmad Shhab. Dana Muhannad Dabbusi with distinction. Ruby Hadi Dagher with distinction. Muhammad Nadir Ziyad al-Daqr. Jad Wa'il Dawra. Mark George Darazi. Ali Nabil Darwish. Yusuf Dahir Diab with distinction. Maryam Shafiq Deeb. Sati Haris Deeb with distinction. Ryan Najib Deeb Na'mi with high distinction. Judy Tufi Atir with distinction. Layal Rabi' Azzuddin. Muhammad Ahmad Azzuddin with high distinction. Lara Ahmad Farhat. Nicolas Michel Noula Fawaz. Jamal Marwan Fiddawi. Yusuf Muhammad Flayfil. Hadil Hussein Ghaddar. Ali Imad Ghaith with distinction. Muhammad Basim Ghalayini. Ragad Rabi' Al-Ghali with distinction. Wasim Zaydan Al-Ghali. Ahmad Faraj Ghandour. Jana Ghanim Ghanim. Lu'ay Marwan Gharzuddin. Abdul Karim Ziyad Al-Ghawi with high distinction. Ala Ziyad Al-Ghawi. Lama Muhammad Al-Ghul. Abir Jihad Ghzayl with high distinction. Mark Edmol Habr. Hadi Jamal Hashim. Noor Hashush. Asma Muhammad Hadir. Adam Hatim Al-Hajj Sulaiman with distinction. Bashar Kayan Al-Hajj Sulaiman. Abdul Jalil Abdul Nasir Hijaj. Fatima Ahmad Abdul Muttalib Al-Hajj. Rita Simon Al-Hajj with distinction. Bara Mahmoud Mujahid Hajjar with high distinction. Abdullah Ra'id Al-Hakim. Karim Khalid Al-Halabi. Elisa Wissam Hamad. Sarah Imad Hamad with high distinction. Bara'a Abdel Halim Hmadi. Lama Malik Hmadi with distinction. Muhammad Hussein Hamadi. Sarah Walid Hmadi. Dana Mustafa Hamam. Fatima Rabi' Hamandi with distinction. Kareem Bahish Hamid. Karen George Hannoush with high distinction. Sami Nabil Haraki. Firas Ali Harb. Nathalie Mahmoud Harb with high distinction. Tanya Samah Hassan with high distinction. Fatima Muhammad Hatoum. Ru'a Bilal Haidar. Muhammad Nimr Hirz with distinction. Jana Mahmoud Hmayid with distinction. Kareem Karam Hudayb with distinction. Yasmina Wa'il Al-Hur with distinction. Abbas Qasim Htait. Muhammad Ihab Ibrahim. Jana Sayyid Muhammad Ibrahim Al-Husayni. Rain Majid Al-Andari. Khalid Bilal Iskandarani. Jad Jalal Ismail with distinction. George Habib Isa with high distinction. Dima Suhail Aitani with high distinction. Muhammad Adnan Tariq Aitani. Celine Ja'far. Anis Ayyad Ja'far with distinction. Adnan Abdel Fattah Al-Jaljuli with high distinction. Ali Yasir Jammoul. Omar Muhammad Amin Al-Jazzar. Sarah Walid Al-Jibbawi. Hazim Shawqi Juwaidi with distinction. Mustafa Haidar Jouni. Ahmad Muhammad Walid Jiradi with distinction. Yaman Muhammad Ali Qabbani. Akasha Shadi Kabul with distinction. Dana Jihad Kaj. Razan Rifat Al-Qaqoon with distinction. Levon Yahya Khalidjian with distinction. Kareem Qasim Kalout with distinction. Ghina Muhammad Kamal. Julia Ahmed Kammouni with distinction. Omar Mustafa Kammouni. Jana Zahir Kanafani. Tamar Megardish Kanimian with distinction. Fatima Ali Karaki with high distinction. Eli Joseph Karam. Omar Muhammad Ali Karazon with distinction. Jana Ihab Al-Qari. Christophe Tanius Al-Assis with distinction. Farah Samir Qatrib with distinction. Khalid Jamal Khalid. Zahra Ahmad Al-Khalid. Zaina Mundir Al-Khalil with high distinction. Jamal Adnan Al-Khatib with distinction. Mark Richard Khwairi. Ghi Droni Al-Khuri. Karim Jamil Al-Khouri with distinction. Amjad Abdul Latif Khurwat. Muhammad Abdul Salam Kniao. Marwa Hilal Al-Qarahani. Muhammad Ammar Saeed Al-Kukash with distinction. Shadi Wissam Kraidli. Rawan Muhammad Layla. Lin Roni Al-Taif with high distinction. Asrar Maher Ma'mari with distinction. Kutan Yahya Al-Mashhadani. Rushdi Khalil Al-Majdoub. Mira Rafiq Marderosian. Sarah Hussein Hassan Mar'i with distinction. Iman Radi Marhoon with high distinction. Asil Muhammad Mishlawi. Adib Ilyas Limdawar. Rakan Ibrahim Mahu. Layan Jamil Al-Mekkawi with distinction. Eliana Hussam Mili. Noor Jihad Mir'i. Omar Usama Mir'i. Antoine George Mizhir with distinction. Reem Ahmad Muhammad with distinction. Ibrahim Sid Ahmed Muhammad Uthman Muhammad. Iyad Yusuf Al-Muqdad. Maryam Rida Al-Muqdad. Shadi Bassam Mur'us with distinction. Fatima Hassan Mutlaq. Layla Ramzi Mfarrij with distinction. Celine Ayman Al-Mughrabi with distinction. Ali Hussein Najdi. Hassan Ali Najm with distinction. Ahmad Tariq Najiya. Sarah Ahmed Najmuddin with distinction. Lin Jihad Nasr. Ghadi Shaw'i Nassar. Hawra Nasrat Nasir. Maryam Yusuf Nasir. With distinction, sorry. Zahra Nasrat Nasir. Nicolas Kamal Nasif with distinction. Nader Imad Naufal with distinction. Dani Muhammad Na'mi. Hussein Muhammad Nisr. Daniel Naji Nwayhid. Rain Tariq Abeid with distinction. Haneen Fuad Ullay. Wa'il Marwan Uthman with high distinction. Ziyad Nabil Uthman. Nadim Ahmed Waidat with distinction. Muhammad Abdul Muttalib Ahmed Mahmoud Al-Qassab. Angela Yusuf Raful. Firas Muhammad Ramal with high distinction. Safa Ahmed Al-Ramal. Ashley Mary Yasser Beyz. Yasser Abbas Rislan. Eliza Hiriz with high distinction. Asil Fadi Saab. Dayan Shafiq Saab with high distinction. Rami Raja Saab with distinction. Nagam Ali Saadi. Yumna Jean-Claude Saadi with high distinction. جنى محمد صبرا، محمد رفيق صبرا، أحمد فاروق علي صدقة with distinction، عيسى محمد جهاد الصعيدي، جون غازي صقر with distinction، غيا نديم سنجر، بشرى محمد ستلميش، سعاد سوزن نبيه صواف، يورغو الياس صوايا، ميرا محمد السيد، جان ماري جان بيير سمعاني with distinction، دورين كميل سرحال، سارة هاني سرحال، ريمون سامي سيوري، سليم جميل شراب with high distinction، حمود ثائر حمود الشبيب، فتون محمد شهاب، سابين مروان شهاب with distinction، عمر أحمد شموري with distinction، ليلاس بسام سنو with distinction، سابين حلمي سليمان، لارا محمد سويد with distinction، سلين بسام صوتو، علي محمد سرور، أندري ألان طابوريان، سعاد رضوان الطحان with distinction، سحر حسن طالب with distinction، ماكسويل ريتشارد تامر مهوني، محمد حسين أسعد الطفيلي، إلي فادي واكد، أحمد بلال وهبي with high distinction، محمد مالك وهبي، كمال منير ياسين with high distinction، رغد محمود ياسين with high distinction، هديل رأفت علي اليازوري with distinction، جو ميشيل يوسف with high distinction، ياسمين سعد الدين الزعتري، نديم زكريا زعيتر، ران عبد القادر زنكر with high distinction، يوسف معروف زيد with high distinction، ليلي سعادة زيدان، ناتالي رمزي الزين، نجاد سلمان زين الدين، جوان روجرز غيب، عبد العظيم عبد الرحمن زرين، براء مجاهد حجار with high distinction،
May I ask the Dean of the Hariri School of Nursing to come to the podium.
As interim dean of the Hariri School of Nursing, I ask the graduating students of the school to please rise. I shall now read to you the text of the nurse's oath, after which you will be asked to accept it by answering, I do. Will the faculty members of the Hariri School of Nursing please rise? As I enter the nursing profession, I pledge to practice my profession with integrity and to promote excellence in healthcare, to deliver nursing care non-judgmentally to the best of my ability and in accordance with the highest ethical standards, to treat everyone with respect, to hold in confidence all personal matters that come to my knowledge in the practice of my profession, to continuously update my knowledge and skills to the highest scientific level, to give my support and cooperation to all members of the healthcare team while ensuring the welfare of those committed to my care. Do you so pledge? Will the members of the faculty please be seated? Mr. President, as Interim Dean of the Rafia Hariri School of Nursing, and on behalf of my colleagues, the members of the faculty of the school, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing and welcome you to the Fellowship of Educated Women and Men. Congratulations.
I now call upon the graduates from the Rafia Hariri School of Nursing to come to the stage. The first graduate will be the recipient of the Penrose Award from the Rafia Hariri School of Nursing for the year 2022. Will Muhammad Ali Atif Jawad please come to the stage?
Muhammad Ali Atif Jawad with high distinction, Penrose Award. Yasmin Wissam Abbas. Hussein Muhammad Abdullah. Zainab Mahdi Abdullah with distinction. Ran Saleh Abdulaziz. Tina Munir Abirad with distinction. Yara Faisal Abu Jahjah with distinction. Khulud Khalid Ahmad. Maysam Yusuf Ahmad. Hassan Muhammad Al-Okla. Nancy Ahmad Al-Atrash. Salih Kamil Awada with distinction. Sarah Elias Barakat with distinction. Lama Mahmoud Al-Daou. Karine Sarkis Dishchikinyan with distinction. Mai Yasin Durji. Tala Mustafa Sayyid Saleh with distinction. Rayan Ghazi Faqih. Dunya Musa Farhood with distinction. Leen Maher Al-Farra with distinction. Francisca Jihad Francis. Diana Nidal Al-Ghusn. Ali Munir Haidar Ahmad. Judy Wajdi Hamdan. Carla Shadi Hamza. Mira Munir Haidar Ahmad. Zainab Muhammad Hamada. Fatima Musa Hnain with distinction. Sarah Hassan Hijazi with distinction. Diana Fadil Hnain. Munira Fadl Husainovich with distinction. Leen Mustafa Qasak Al-Mughrabi. Leen Asim Kayali. Hassan Mansour Mahmoud Kaid with distinction. Rani Muhammad Khalid. Hawra Zuhair Al-Khansa. Shireen Hisham Al-Labban with distinction. Mary Jo Joseph Makhraz with distinction. Sarah Ziyad Malaib. Sarah Muhammad Khair al-Matbouli. Valentina Yusuf Mghabghab. Ahmad Muhammad al-Mgharbel. Haya Khalid Murad. Mustafa Ali Mroui with distinction. Laya Hassan Naqib. Nuruddin Sharif Naqib with distinction. Adam Tara Ameish. Rawan Marwan Saab with high distinction. Jida Kinas Safadi. Jana Bassam Saleh. عناية حسام الدين الشامي. Lara Afif Shahab with distinction. Sally Sabah Jamal Subh with distinction. Nihal Ahmad Subra. Maria Ziyad Suhi with distinction. Jana Ibrahim Tabit. Tanya Fadi Yusuf with distinction. Hanan Muhammad Zahra. Muhammad Rida Zalghut. Jana Yusuf Z'anni with distinction.
May I ask the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences to please step forward to present his school's candidates.
Mr. President, as Interim Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences, will the graduating students of the Nutrition and Dietetics Program and Nutrition and Dietetic Coordinated Program please rise? I shall now read to you the text of the Nutrition and Dietetics Profession's Oath, which I will ask you to accept by answering I do. Will the faculty members of the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences please rise? As a professional dietitian nutritionist, I pledge to pursue and promote excellence, practice with integrity, empathy, and ethical conduct, contribute to the health and welfare of members of the community, respect and protect the confidentiality of my clients without discrimination, support the principles and partnerships in the workplace, comply with all the laws and regulations of the dietetic profession, support the advancement and dissemination of evidence-based nutrition knowledge and skills, and engage in continuing education to further my professional knowledge and skills and incorporate them in my practice. Do you so pledge? I barely heard you. Okay, that's better. That's fine, I can speak loudly enough. Mr. President, as Interim Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences, and on behalf of my colleagues of the faculty, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Agriculture with the Diploma of Ingenieur Agricole, Bachelor of Science in Agribusiness, Bachelor of Science in Food Science and Management, Bachelor of Landscape Architecture with the Diploma of Ingenieur Agricole, Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics, and Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics Coordinated Program. Will all the graduates please rise? They've already risen, I see.
By virtue of authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degrees for which you have completed all the requirements and welcome you to the Fellowship of Educated Women and Men. Congratulations.
I now call upon the graduates from the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences to come to the stage, already done. The first graduate will be the recipient of the Penrose Award from the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences for 2022. Will Ms. Karen Baidoun please come to the stage?
Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and Diploma of Engineer Agricole: Karim Subhi Assaf, Ahmed Muhammad Ghaddar, Tracy George Khalil with high distinction, Hamza Khaldoun Al-Labadi, Abdul Ghani Nizar Maita, Niveen Ali Manasfi with distinction, Ahmed Wissam Mir'i, Angie Muhammad Rashid Musawi with distinction, Alexandra Elias Zaydan with high distinction, Anna Maria Kamal Sayali with distinction, Hussein Talal Turfa, Shadi Abdullah Yusuf, Sarah Rashid Ziyadi with distinction. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Agribusiness: Marwa Abdullah Fadil, Hamad Hassan Hamoud. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science, Major Food Science and Management: Lourdes Majid Abdul Ahad, Maryam Asad Asad, Luanna Faisal Assaf, Michelle Sharbil Basil with distinction, Haya Khaldoun Bawadi, my pride and joy, my daughter Aya Yusuf Dugan, ريم عماد فرحات، جانا محمد الحشوي، باولو روجيه كسباني، طارق نزيه ناصر الدين، ياسمين وليدة ويدات، لميس أحمد عويتي، ماريا الياس رحمي، سارة سليم سعادي، لينا خالد الصعيدي، Raymond Hamid Serhan with distinction. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Landscape Architect and Diploma of Engineer Agricole: Hani Ghassan Abdallah, Michel Jean Abi Habli with distinction, Tima Mahmoud Farhat with distinction, Lin Firas Fattouhi with distinction, Marie Elias Al-Haj, Kinda Ghassan Nasrallah with distinction, Amal Hussein Tarhini with distinction, Hana Imad Yunus with distinction. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science, Major Nutrition and Dietetics: Juna Muhammad Nawar Al-Awa, Sireen Haytham Ayas with distinction, Nadeem Suhail Bashur, Maya Ihab Bashkar, Reem Fawzi Bughanim, Sally Alamuddin Bukarroum, Bettina Christi Abdu Sham'oun, Rasha Khalid Damaj, Ghinnu Ibrahim Al-Dannan with distinction, Tracy Pierre Faddoul with high distinction, Reem Abbas Fasa'i, Marwa Fadi Al-Hajj with distinction, Kareen Christina Halabi, Reem Abdul Nasir Hamoud, Maya Riyad Hdeb with distinction, زهوة حسن عيساوي عمر جهاد عيتاني with distinction. ياسمين محمد عيتاني with distinction. ياسمين تامر جرمقاني with distinction. جنى حسين قبلان. كارن هاشم كبارة. فرح فرج كوبل. نسرين جميل مكة. بيرلا أنطوان نصر. نور الزهراء إبراهيم نصار. راما مروان شحرور. سارة جمال شريف. هادي ناصر السباعي. سارة إيهاب السروجي. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science, Major Nutrition and Dietetics Coordinated Program. ميراي بهجة العياص with distinction. تالا محمد الشعار. آلاء شحرور with high distinction. مريان فرنسوا الفغالي with high distinction. آية حسان غزاوي with distinction. جنى خالد الرفاعي with high distinction. هي معن سرور.
May I ask the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences to please present her school's candidates for degrees.
Mr. President, as the Interim Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, and on behalf of my colleagues of the faculty, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Environmental Health, Bachelor of Science in Medical Laboratory Sciences, Bachelor of Science in Medical Audiology Sciences, Bachelor of Science in Medical Imaging Sciences, and Bachelor of Arts in Health Communication. Will all the candidates please rise?
I don't see you. There you are. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degrees for which you have completed all of the requirements and welcome you to the Fellowship of Educated Women and Men. Congratulations.
I now call upon the graduates from the Faculty of Health Sciences to come to the stage. The first graduate will be the recipient of the Penrose Award from the Faculty of Health Sciences for 2022. Will Ms. Julia Zaydan please come to the stage?
Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Health Communication. Noor Zahra Ali Abdullah with distinction. Sophie Rabia Abu Ghaida. Reem Asim Abu Harb with distinction. Naima Mahmoud Farah. Elisa Samir Hmedi. Rawan Fadi Hamid with distinction. Jalila Ali Isa. Jana Eli Kazan with distinction. Dana Wahid Qtaish. Kauthar Amin Musi. Dana Arafat Tfaili with distinction. Lin Khalid Zar. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Environmental Health. Ahmed Ibrahim Ahmed with distinction. Yara Nazih Elia. Rayan Asim Al-Kak with distinction. Tala Fadi Kambris. Ahmed Ali Ahmed Al-Mudwahi with distinction. Lynn Julia Nasib Makarim. Hadi Fuad Mer'i with distinction. Faisal Rabi' Salah al-Din. Saad al-Din Muhammad Sidani with distinction. Patricia Antoine Wahbi. Akram Yusuf Yassin with distinction. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Medical Laboratory Sciences. Jana Shadi Abu Fakhr with distinction. Perla Fadi Abu Jawdi. Shireen Gabrielle Badro. Marwa Shafiq Ballouz. Rania Raif Bughanim. Ran Rami Fawaz. Alexandre Camille El-Hajj. Jana Jihad El-Hajj Omar. Aya Muhammad Zahir Hamad. Dana Ziyad Jarrah. Adnan Muhammad Jum'a. Emil Raja Kashua. Muhammad Ali Muhammad Kal'aji with distinction. Raid Fehmi Karami. Sarkis Mardiras Kirkemezian. Sali Ali Mahmoud with distinction. Ghada Imaduddin Markabawi. Ghadi Mike Musa. Sara Sami Nasr. Rayan Imad El-Riyashi. Noor Basil El-Safadi. Karen Eli Saleme with distinction. Rita Nasif El-Sibali with distinction. Mahdi Isam Swaidan with distinction. Zaina Abdul Wahab Al-Zu'urt with high distinction. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Medical Audiology Sciences. Aya Khalid Al-Akkawi with distinction. Ritaj Mahmoud Ali. Rina Wajih Faris with distinction. Jana Marwan Al-Jurdi with distinction. Lina Rabi' Mnaimni with distinction. Yasmina Isam Mu'ti with distinction. Sara Mustafa Tahir with distinction. Sireen Mustafa Tahir with distinction. Sara Haytham Tlayji with distinction. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Medical Imaging Sciences. Sally Jamal Abbas with distinction. Hussein Husni Ajami. Fajr Munir Al-Bitar. Talib Rahim Fadlallah. Zainab Ali Farhat. Hussein Samir Salloum. Dima Ahmed Shukr. Lara Fuad Sulaiman. Kareen Amin Subh with distinction. Tia Ali Swaidan. Wala Abdul Jalil Zakaria with distinction.
Okay. I now have the distinct pleasure of greeting all of you for the first time and in the shadow of College Hall as alumni of the American University of Beirut. Congratulations. The road you have traveled during your years at AUB has been a demanding one, and you are to be congratulated for having successfully met the academic challenges of the finest university in Lebanon and the region. Some of you will go on to careers in Lebanon or overseas. Others will continue their education in higher degree programs. Wherever your travels take you, I wish you success in your careers, personal joy in your lives, and peace and fulfillment in your communities. At this point, I would like to acknowledge the critical role that has been played by your families, your parents, your siblings, your husbands and wives, your children, who've walked this road with you, who have contributed their love, their financial means, their moral support. Your success is their success as well, and they are here to celebrate with you. So I ask you to stand again, turn around, and express your appreciation to them for their constancy and devotion. Will the audience now please stay standing for the alma mater? Will the platform audience please rise?
I now declare this commencement exercise at a close. Will all student graduates and the audience please remain in their places until the President and party have cleared the area? Mr. President, will you and your party please follow me?
Give me a second, I need to get my